Dr. Tan Wu Meng.
Sir, the Work-Life Grant was introduced in July 2013 to incentivize companies to enhance and sustain the provision of flexible work arrangements, or FWAs, for their employees. Contractors that perform outsourced work for their clients could apply for the Work-Life Grant. Since the start of COVID-19 pandemic, many forms of FWA, such as telecommuting and staggered working hours, have become more common. With flexible work arrangements becoming increasingly prevalent, the Work-Life Grant was ceased in August 2020. Flexible work arrangements enable employees to continue working while meeting their personal and family needs, and are especially important for those who have to take care of young children or elderly family members at home. Employers that provide the option of flexible arrangements are more likely to attract and retain talent in the long run. That must be the biggest incentive for employers to extend flexible work arrangements to their employees. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Wan Rizal, I must thank you for standing up, because that's a bit of a blind spot in the far right corner.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for spotting me at that corner. Mr. Speaker advised me to do jumping jacks previously to attract his attention. So, anyway, thank you for the question, for the answer on Dr. Tan's question. So, there's a supplementary question here where we keep on asking ourselves, this whole idea of outsourcing actually creates what we call a double hurdle for those who are in FWAs. Because the contractor must be willing to provide FWA in the first place, and then the outsourcing business must have workflows and preferences that can make it feasible for the contractor to provide this FWA. So how do we ensure that companies and contractors do not pass the buck to one another? As a context, I will give an example. A number of my residents had come forward to me. They are, of course, working in outsourced companies, for example, in security and cleaners. And they face this problem when one of them falls sick. For example, they need kidney dialysis, they need that time off. And it's very difficult for them to get this arrangement. Eventually, they need to resign and find another job. So that would be my question. How do we ensure that these companies don't pass the buck to one another? Thank you.
So I thank the member for raising this clarification. I think what he has described are genuine, real challenges on the ground. Not every job description or job role is amenable to full flexible work arrangements, because it depends on the roles the person has to perform and also the nature of the work. Indeed, many outsourced workers undertake work that could present challenges for their employers to implement flexible work arrangements. So these include shift workers, workers in frontline or client-facing roles, such as cleaners, manufacturing operators, and service workers. It's quite a challenge to do flexible arrangements when the worker is required to man a production line, for example. But having said that, there is a tripartite effort to encourage outsourced companies to do a lot more flexible arrangements where possible. And there is also an alliance for action on work-life harmony, which is a good example of how the partners can come together to look at ways in which we can encourage not just companies, but workers also to adopt learning, new skills, so that there's a lot more upgrading and redesign of the jobs as well. Ultimately, it's about working together, seeing how we can transform the job into something that is much more, perhaps more automated and more productive, and makes it open to possibilities of flexible arrangements through the use of technology as well. So I hope that is something that both employers, workers, and the unions can work together to make it possible for all job roles to eventually explore some degree of flexible work arrangements. Thank you, sir.